Welcome to episode 2 of an INTP Try and Get Productive, in which me, an INTP, tries to get productive. I said I would make this a weekly series, but it's been a month since I posted, mostly because I sort of procrastinated on it, but also because it didn't take me very long to realize that changing your strategy of trying to be productive every week like I was intending to do, purely for the sake of having something to document and share, is not very effective, right? So last video I said for my appointment setting job, I would make Sundays, which is the only day I have off from work, the day that I prioritize. So instead of making it a recovery day at the end of the week, I make it the most important day of the week. That's number one that I did, or wanted to do at least, and I did. What I wanted to do as well was sleep for 9 hours a day. I wanted to reflect daily. I wanted to take shorter breaks without my phone or any other screens. I wanted to read 30 minutes every day, and then the sixth one was actually to exercise more. Those were the things I intended to do to be more productive. And there's a number of metrics that I looked at in the previous video and that I want to look at continuously, as they are how I measure my productivity. Just a brief overview: I do a sales job, I set appointments, so I have conversations in the DM with people to qualify them and make sure that what we offer as a company is something that they could use. And my only intention is to book a call, and then someone else will close the deal on the call if it is indeed a good deal for both parties. My general KPI is to have 200 conversations a day, just for your idea. And I work 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, so that means 1,200 conversations a week. And I'm just trying to book as many calls as possible, and preferably in the least amount of hours, to a degree. Although at this point I'm trying to be more productive, and that means getting more done in less time. But I'm also doing quite a lot of work every day, basically 8 hours a day. And I want to hit 8 hours every day just to know that I can do it. Because there were days in my life or weeks in my life where I would be productive for 3 hours a week, and well, the whole point is to get productive. So basically, if I look at my stats, I had 1,100 conversations in the first week that I did this. The week after, I had 700 conversations, way too little. Then 1,000, then 1,000 again, then 1,200 and 1,200. So just looking at that, only the last 2 weeks I've been as productive as I wanted to be when it comes to my total conversations in a week. So what have I done in the past 2 weeks that I haven't done previously? One of the things that I intended to do, like I mentioned, is exercise, and that helped. I've only been exercising consistently again the last 2 weeks, and I've just noticed a couple of things about how it helps my productivity. First of all, going to the gym every day, or at least going on a run, either or, is something that the person that I want to be does, right? A productive person, sort of the type of person that we aspire to be, is someone that exercises. And so when you exercise, if you've read Atomic Habits, you'll know, when you exercise, you're voting for a certain identity. You have your loser self and a winner self, and when you don't gym because you tell yourself, I could spend the time being productive, you're the type of person that doesn't go to the gym, or that doesn't exercise in whatever way they want to. And so I realized that going to gym, first and foremost, is voting for a certain identity. Second of all, it's a good way to step out of your work, because what I've noticed as an INTP is when I do work and then I take a break, I keep thinking about the work, like analyzing what I've been doing, if I'm doing it well, if I should be doing better, if I could be doing something to be more productive, whatever. When I stop working at 11, I don't sleep until, and I go to bed immediately. I don't sleep until 12, 12:15, 12:30 because I'm still thinking about stuff. So going to the gym is a way to step out of your mind, basically, and give your mind a rest. So that works. Plus, you get your cardio and you have your raised heartbeat, and it's just good for your general health. So this really hit home for me. Like, I exercised a lot back in the day, and now a lot less. And so exercise, I've noticed, is practically a must if you want to be productive. If I look at other stats, like how many calls I've proposed and booked, I notice as well that only the last 2 weeks I've been able to say I've hit decent numbers. And if I look at how many hours I've worked, I'd also say that the last 2 weeks I had 42 hours and 45 hours. And in the weeks earlier in this process, I had 37 hours. So I did work a bit more hours as well, which goes to say either that maybe I wasn't more productive per hour, I just put in more work, but putting more work is what I'm trying to do. So that's a good thing. So in general, all I need to do now is analyze what happened in the past 2 weeks. What did I do well, to see how I can get even more productive. What I kept doing, like I mentioned, is making Sundays the most important day of the week. And what I mean by that is, usually when you work a lot throughout the week and then you want to recover, what you do is you allow yourself to do certain vices like social media scrolling or junk food, because you tell yourself, I've been stuck I've been restricting myself, and if I want to be able to continue restricting myself, I also need to let go of my my rational mind and just do what feels good. Which is true, sure, but a way better way to do that in my head when I planned this out a month ago is to make Sunday what I think is an ideal day. So that means 4 hours of focused work. That means getting outside a lot. That means eating healthy, etc., etc. And then finding moments throughout every single workday to let go of that restrictive part of my head, basically. But also just to recover in the sense that you don't do social media, but you don't do anything. And you nap more, or you walk more, or you do more of the healthy habits to sort of ease into, like a lower dopamine threshold or whatever you want to call it. So that worked. Now, in the last video, I mentioned as well that I use Google Calendar to time block, and I'll get into that. But what you can do in Google Calendar is make Sunday your first day of the week. So that's what I did, and that's sort of a little bit of a technological aid, I guess, to make it happen. Talking about scheduling my days, I think I've been the most productive over the past 6 weeks. I think out of the last 6 weeks, the reason I've been most productive in the last 2 weeks is that I stopped scheduling my day. Instead of working with time schedule, I work these many hours here, blah, blah, blah. I resorted to a habit tracker where I simply say, this is the first thing I do, and once it's done, I go into the next. And I'm not too harsh on that, but I do prefer to have it in that order. But if I do the third habit before the second habit, that's fine. But just generally try to stick to that order. Now, if you're an INTP and you have dived into INTP specific productivity device, you'll already know that time scheduling is generally not recommended, because I'm trying to work 8 hours a day, doing mundane work 6 days a week. I figured that a routine would be better, or scheduling would be better to make sure that I hit those hours. Because if you want to be more creative, or if you want to be researching something that's more like deep work, you don't want to schedule that. But I figured mundane work, schedule it. Turns out that when even though the work is quite mundane, you can still get into like a flow state. And when previously I said to myself, I'm going to work for an hour and a half now, I would do that, but I would continuously be looking at the clock and things like that. But when I ditched the time scheduling or the time blocking, I had bursts of 3 hours of work. The work was not particularly deep or interesting or creative or what I'm meant to do, so to say, but I still got in the flow because I was just in the flow already, and I just kept working without worrying about, oh, at 11 I go to this, and then I'm back at 12, and then I blah blah blah. So has been said a lot of times, but if you're an INTP, I generally recommend don't time block. Use Google Calendar for the tasks that need to be scheduled, and I do still usually put in time blocks, but they're way more general, and I don't stick to them at all because it's more of a visual aid of like what my day will look like rather than time blocking. What else have I been doing over the past 2 weeks that have led me to be more productive? I was working for 2 different companies, one 8 hours a day or 7, and the other one like 30 to 60 minutes a day. And you think, well, if you can get decent benefits, so to say, or compensation from that second thing, then why not continue to do it? But I just felt wrong in the sense that you're basically multitasking, right? I was doing the same type of work but for 2 different kinds of companies, and so when you finish your work for one and you go to the other, you have lingering, there's a Dutch word for it, I don't know it in English. There's like an attention deficit, or your attention lingers in your previous task, and therefore you sort of get stuck in never really getting into flow again for the next one. So I did also quit one of those offers, one of the businesses that I work for. That helped. I heard someone say not too long ago that the way you measure your focus is by how much you've sacrificed. So the more you sacrifice, the more focused you are. I've sacrificed something good in order to be great at that one thing. So that was a helpful thing as well. What else did I do? Well, I said I would do 9 hours of sleep. I didn't get there, but I did go from like 6, 7 to 7, 8 hours. I think it's just a must. When you're an analytical person, you've got to sleep 7.5 hours or 7 hours at least. So be aware of that. I still sleep straight after work because I finish work quite late because I spread it out and I don't want to keep doing that. So that's something I want to get better at. But 7 to 8 hours of sleep still feels a bit lacking, even though it's summertime. So, there's plenty of daylight out, but yeah. Then I said I'd do shorter breaks without a screen. I'm having trouble with that because, from the day I was 11, 12, I've been like a screen addict basically, whether that was gaming or Netflix or social media. For that would be the past 13 years. I'm 24 now. And of course the past 5 years, for me personally, I've been trying to reduce that, but I still notice I get distracted by what really doesn't, what I really don't enjoy that much, but there's still this pull to doing something rather than doing nothing. So perhaps that's a way for me to get even more productive. So to read 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, didn't do that. Said I would do a daily reflection, didn't do that, but I'm picking that up now. So yeah, my advice to you, make sure you exercise. Make a Sunday a holy day for you, where you make it an ideal day, and you have your work days be the days where you rest more and have more leisure and pleasure. Of course, be intelligent with that and don't do bad habits or eat junk food before you start your work, because it's going to make it more difficult to do the work. But yeah, rest and enjoy yourself more throughout the week, so that you can have like what your ideal day looks like on the days you have off. Exercise, do that. And then I guess those are my tips for now. What am I going to do in the coming period? I'm not going to say next week or next month or next year, but in the coming period between this video and the next one, what am I going to do to be more productive? Great question. I think there's 3 things. I should pick 3 things that I'm going to do that I can report on back to you guys. That is, I am already using app blockers. I think I can be more strict with them. They are working pretty well. On my phone I can't stop them temporarily. On my laptop I can. So if I can be more strict with that, perhaps I could see more benefits from that. But I'm not sure if that's the main measure. I think what I have been doing now is weekly reflections. So on the Sunday, I start the day by reflecting on the past work week. And if I do that, I think what I was able to do is get a lot more insight into how I can be more productive and how I can just be better at my work in general. Because it's obviously not just about productivity, but also about what you're doing. If you're focusing on the important tasks rather than being productive on unimportant tasks. So a weekly reflection might be better than a daily reflection, because when you're trying to systemize as an INTP, you should have plenty of space left in a day where you're still free to do whatever you want. And so if I start doing daily reflections as a daily habit, like I have to do this today, I'm gonna get stuck in that. So a weekly reflection is what I intend to do, and I'll report back on that to you guys. What else can I do? I'm noticing that making these videos gives me a clear image or a more clear perspective on what I'm doing well and wrong and what I can do to improve. I've had some new ideas just talking out loud in this video, so that will be a second thing that I intend to do, is to make these videos more consistently. I do want to post a couple of videos in the coming period in a row of being like a series of more like a foundational series where I sort of express my thoughts on particularly INTP procrastination. So maybe I won't be doing this as consistently until I've finished that block of videos, and then I'll pick it up again. But these videos are helpful for me as well. Probably they're more helpful to me at this stage than they are to you, but let me know what you think. And then the third thing I can do to be more productive in the coming period, I'm exercising. I'm not going outside enough and walking. That will be a great one. Instead of breaking with laying in bed or sitting in a chair watching a video, I could even listen to that as a podcast, but just make sure that I'm doing it outside and walking. It's summertime, I'm in a lovely city. Why am I not going outside more? Going outside to walk is the third thing I'm going to be doing the next days, weeks, and I'll let you know how that goes. About the video series, I want to make some videos about the 2 types of procrastination that basically every person deals with. I'll make a separate video about the 3rd type of procrastination that INTPs deal with specifically, and then I'll also go into some videos about how you can change and how you can finally eliminate procrastination and why you should do that. So that will be like 6 videos in total. So expect that soon. Thanks for listening. If you have any ideas, share them with me. You can do so in the comments. You can do so if you go to my channel by going to the school community, which is free, And you can hit me up on Instagram at @DeFrancoDavis. So that was it for this video. Thank you for listening. Let me know if this was helpful or not. I don't really have any idea. I got more positive feedback from like the more like value-oriented videos where I script something and I say this is how you solve this, or this is how you do this, or this is how this works. But let me know if this is valuable to you as well, and have a good week.